Hi! Well, fellow studs and studettes and studites, it's another Thursday and time for another Zaranyzerak FiveAwesomeStuds edition. Welcome. So this past week, of course, was the week of the big challenge. Top 5 favorite cartoons. And I gotta say, my fellow 4 studs came through in spades. And it looks like, hey, Ranch, you and I are off the hook this week. Well, I mean, we're always, like, off the hook! But you know what I mean, there's no challenge in the air right now, so we can basically do whatever the hell we want for the next 2 days. Woohoo! So naturally, what am I going to do? I'm going to talk about cartoons some more. Yeah! Cartoons are awesome. Nah. Whoo! Freebie. There we go. That's what Daddy needs. And Daddy needs some more coffee. Oh, yeah. Nectar of the gods. So I kept the shirt closed this week because Ranchfox seemed to be on nip slip alert last week. But then I just realized upon reviewing the last shot, that could be slightly misinterpreted as well. Yes, I love cartoons, but not quite as much as that stretch was just a stretch may have implied. I stretch loud, okay? Okay, so the big cartoon challenge. Man, you guys rocked that challenge. That was awesome. I really didn't know what to expect. Because I had a feeling some of you may not be big cartoon fans, but man, you all stepped up to the plate, and in ways that I couldn't even imagine. Like, Ranchfox really went the whole 9 yards, and not only dug out the theme songs of a lot of the cartoons he was talking about, but gave, like, encapsulated summaries and histories of those cartoons. Oh no, Ranch, you don't get excited about cartoons at all. Man, you put some of my useless cartoon trivia knowledge to shame. I was impressed. I don't impress easy when it comes to cartoon trivia. And Frankie Slauson, you came up with a great list. There's some really good stuff on there. What movie won? For someone who claims not to be very much into cartoons, you seem to like an awful lot of them and have quite a few in your DVD collection. I saw both you and Frankie are big Beavis and Butthead fans. Awesome show. Really underrated. It's definitely best in its uncut form, though, I find, which I see that you have, Wet Movie. With the, because I think the funniest part of it was when they were razzing the music videos. That was great stuff. The movie was awesome too. Loved the movie. Well, it's a 1985 dude. 1985 dude came up with some great stuff too. I noticed you tend to lean towards the more sort of funny stuff, the little kid stuff, as it were, whereas the rest of us are kind of a mix of the funny stuff and the action-adventure cartoons. I've always leaned more towards the action-adventure cartoons, but I do like the funny stuff too. Everybody needs to laugh, right? And not only the 5 awesome studs, not only us, but our viewers even chirped in with their top 5 and sometimes their top 10 favorites. So big kudos to all you guys who left comments on the original challenge video and came through with your top fave cartoons. That was awesome. So between the studs and between the comments, I noticed a lot of common likes, actually. For example, Transformers, the movie. It seems like everybody and their dog loves this movie. And I'm certainly among them, because I have it not once, but twice on DVD. Why do I have it twice? Because this version was the first time the full uncut version was available on DVD. Actually, no, the second time, but it was the best quality version. And it has an interview with Vince DiCola, the guy who did all the music on there. So that's pretty cool. So that's worth keeping. But the ultimate edition, if you're only ever going to get one edition of Transformers the movie, this is the one to get. Double disc set. I think it was out of print for a while, but I just saw it in Walmart the other day, so it looks like it's back in print. And the phone's ringing, as it often does when I try to do a video. I'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry, that was just the little lady calling from work, because she often gets bored at work and calls me to annoy me when I'm trying to do my thing. Anyway, if you're only going to get one edition of Transformers the movie, this is the one to get. It's the 20th anniversary edition, 2 discs. It has both the full screen and the widescreen edition. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people complained that the widescreen version was cropped. Well, I got news for you. Transformers the movie was filmed and mastered and produced in full screen. Why? Because they knew it was going to be shown on television, split up into a miniseries as a part of the TV show more often than it was going to be shown in theaters. There's thinking. So they actually made it full screen and cropped it in the theater. So the widescreen presentation that you see on this edition is correct. There is no more picture to be seen. It's all there. So, there you go. Mythbusters on the FiveAwesomeStuds. You gotta love it.
Yeah, I like cartoons.
Runch Fox mentioned Shira, Princess of Power. Awesome classic show from Filmation Studios. I do not currently have Shira. I do, however, have the first half of the first season of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. There you go. I am planning to pick up the whole set of this, actually, because it's just too cool not to have in one's library. And BCI Entertainment did an outstanding job on these sets. I mean, they are just loaded with special features. Even if you can care less about the show, the featurettes and behind-the-scenes stuff alone make it worth it, because it's really interesting to hear about the history of Filmation, a studio that produced some of the most fondly remembered shows of the 70s and 80s. Great stuff. Now, in 1985, Dude did his installment of The Challenge. I mentioned that he did a lot of the funny stuff, and I love a lot of those cartoons that he mentioned, like Beavis and Butthead and Garfield and stuff like that. Awesome. With his super high-definition screens of the original intros. Fantastic. Fantastic job there. Just giving you a hard time. All right, so one of the shows he mentioned, of course, was Garfield. And I mentioned in the comments, I don't know if you guys keep up with the comments, I mentioned in the comments that I have a bunch of the Garfield DVDs. So I wanted to show you. Check it out. Oh, yeah. Here, first off, we got the original Primetime Specials. This is my favorite one. This has got the Halloween one and the Christmas one, 2 of my favorite episodes right there. Great stuff. And we got Travel Adventures and Garfield Fantasies. So between all 4 of these volumes, that's all 12 of the original Primetime Specials. It was the first time we had ever seen Garfield in animated form. There is a boxed set available, which oddly only has these 3 volumes. It's missing this one. So if you want this one, and you have the box set, you gotta buy this separately. So, just a little heads up for you. Then, of course, awesome stuff, we got Garfield and Friends, Volume 1 and Volume 2. There's actually 3 more sets of this out that's comprising the entire series. They actually do have the full series out on DVD. Still gotta pick those up. They're pretty cheap. You can poke around eBay and find them pretty cheap usually. And then finally we got Garfield the movie. Was not impressed. Although I did find it interesting how Bill Murray did the voice of Garfield, whereas originally it was Lorenzo Music in the cartoon. Where's the connection? Little thing called The Real Ghostbusters. In The Real Ghostbusters, Lorenzo Music played the voice of Peter Venkman, which was originally Bill Murray in the original Ghostbusters movies. So, yeah. So Lorenzo Music played a Bill Murray character, Bill Murray played a Lorenzo Music character. There's symmetry to that. Gotta dig it.
If you watch cartoons, you can be as cool as me.
Last, but most certainly not least, well, it's not last of all the stuff that was mentioned, but it's the last of the things that were mentioned that I actually have in my DVD collection and can give you a little info about. Oh boy, Frankie, you're gonna be jealous. You're gonna be so jealous, Frankie. Be jealous. What have I got? What am I holding in my hand? What am I about to hold up? Oh yeah, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. Word. This, of course, started in 1987 and ran for no less than 10 seasons. Unprecedented success for an animated series. This thing was a worldwide, full-blown phenomenon. Never mind a successful cartoon. This blew He-Man out of the water. It blew Transformers out of the water. Everything. This was where it was at. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was like the king of 80s and 90s cartoons, without question. Although, in subsequent years, I think Transformers and He-Man have kind of surpassed it. But at the time, holy guacamole, Batman, Ninja Turtles was where it was at. So what do we got here? You're going to wet yourself. This is just the first season. The first season was just a 5-part miniseries, aired in 1987. Hugely successful, so it went on to do a second season. The second season was 13 episodes. Hugely successful, so they went on to do a third season. Volume 1, 2, 3, 4. That contains the entire third season. Fourth season, for the DVD sets, they finally went to season sets. Fourth season, another 40 episodes. There was roughly 40 or so in the third season as well. Fifth season, 18 more episodes. I don't even have all of them. They just put out the sixth season a little while ago, and the seventh season was just announced, which you probably want to pick up because it's being released in 4 volumes, which at first you're thinking, oh, they're splitting it up into 4 volumes? How cheap. Yeah, single disc volumes, 6 or 7 episodes a disc. But each volume contains limited edition action figures of the 4 Turtles. Brand new from Playmates. Can't get them anywhere else. How cool is that? Now, of course, I also do have the Ninja Turtles movies. Have to concur, was really disappointed with the third one. I got this as a set, so there you go. It was cheap, so I can't complain. Now, a few of you mentioned the new cartoon, the 2003 series, and how you didn't like it. And I think it was Wet Movie 1 said, it's just not the same as the original Turtles. I need to clarify something. The original Turtles was not the cartoon. The cartoon actually came about 3 years after the Turtles debuted as an independent black and white comic book from Mirage Studios. 1984 was the year. In fact, that's one of the reasons they're doing the big special edition of Season 7 of the cartoon on DVD, because this year is the 25th anniversary of Ninja Turtles. In fact, the movies are being re-released in a special 3-pack on DVD and Blu-ray, hopefully loaded with extras. We don't actually have the specs on those yet. So very exciting stuff. Now, the thing about the old show and the new show and the old comics, the old comics were very dark, very gritty, very violent. Definitely not your average kiddie fare. So when they turned it into a cartoon in the 80s, they watered it down majorly. Like the Turtles that you see in the old 80s cartoon is not the Turtles from the comic books, not by a long stretch. This series, love it or hate it, is actually much more true to the original comic book origins of the Turtles. And in fact, a lot of the storylines are adapted directly out of those old mid to late 80s comics. So if you're an old school Turtles fan like me, who actually started with the Turtles reading the original black and white comics, this series is a real treat. But that said, I can totally understand where you guys are coming from, because I think for the vast majority of people out there, they grew up with the cartoon, which is, you know, obviously I have no problem with the cartoon because I've got all the frickin' DVDs and I'm going to buy the rest of them. I just love the Turtles. I just love the Turtles. What can I say? Yeah, so at some point I'm actually going to do a big DVD collection overview of all the various incarnations of the Turtles on DVD over the years and what to get, what not to get, etc. But yeah, never let it be said that the new Turtles is not faithful to the original, because truth be told, it's actually more faithful to the original source material than the old series was. The old series, they really had to water it down, because if you've read any of the original comics, there is no way they could put that into a kids show and get away with it. The level of violence was just really through the roof. But that was the nature of the comic. I mean, it was supposed to be like that. It was a parody of a lot of the ninja and samurai comics that were popular at the time, and it just kind of took it from there and became its own beast, as it were. Just checking the time, looks like I'm going to have to split this into 2 parts as well. So why not? Why not? Everybody else seems to be doing 2-parters, so what the hell, I'll do the same thing. Anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to sort of touch on some of the cartoons you guys had mentioned and just show you what I got in my DVD collection that relates to it. Why? Because I can. That's really all it boils down to. But that was the thing, like looking over the lists and watching your guys' videos, I realized, like, it's really hard to come up with just a top 5 because the 80s and 90s, there was some really, really good stuff. No matter what kind of cartoons you were into, there was something for everybody, you know? I mean, Ranch and I obviously lean towards the action-adventure cartoons. Frankie, kind of a mix. And 1985 Dude and Wet movie seemed to be more about the comedy and the comic strip adaptations and that sort of thing, which is cool. I mean, it's great. I mean, those are all awesome cartoons. You guys came up with some great selections. And yeah, it was really tough for me to come up with just 5. I mean, I noticed a lot of people in the comments for the original challenge video actually did a top 10. And looking through those top 10 lists, I was like, oh man, how could I forget that one? How could I forget this one? How could I forget that one? You know, speaking of the real Ghostbusters, that set just came out on DVD in a complete big deluxe Uber set. That's actually a set that I've already budgeted for, and I will be getting in the in sometime, probably next month, I think is when it's budgeted for. But yeah, that's a must buy. And honestly, Real Ghostbusters is probably one of my favorites of the 80s too. But I just forgot to mention it because there's so many other good ones. But yeah, great stuff. So thanks very much for your responses, guys. Frankie, I look forward to whatever your challenge is going to be, and future challenges from the other studs. Whew! I think that about does it for this week. I hope that makes up for my being late the past couple weeks. Gave you a nice deluxe double edition. Woo! All right, talk to you next time, guys. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara.